Let's be honest, when people think about American food, they don't exactly think, well, healthy. But you might not have guessed that some countries have banned some of our food for actually being poisonous. That's right, places like the EU are outright strict about what goes into the mouths of their citizens. Can you believe they're trying to keep them out of the hospital and the grave? So, if you're curious about which American foods are banned in other countries and which ones on this list are downright lethal, stay tuned. Number one, Fruit Loops. I can't tell you how horrified I was to see this on the list. Not only have I eaten Fruit Loops hundreds of times, but I've offered these to my toddler. You probably have too. So Americans might be wondering why France, Austria, Norway, and Finland refuse to import certain versions of this breakfast treat. Well, it's because the original formula contained food dyes such as yellow 5 and red 40, which have been shown to slow cell development. Now, Kellogg adapted to this concern by offering Fruit Loops to other countries with natural food coloring, and I've actually seen this version in the States as well. But to my fellow Americans, check the label. While you can find the cereal with the natural food coloring, the original version is still widely available. Number two, milk. Speaking of cereal, US milk seems to also be a problem. Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Japan, and the EU have passed on selling it, since the FDA does not require companies to disclose if the cows have been treated with RBGH. RBGH is also known as RBST and is a growth hormone used to increase milk production. While the FDA insists that this is not a problem, other countries have listened to the studies that show an increase of cancer, especially breast cancer in women. Luckily, some US farmers have eliminated the hormone and even marketed their milk as RBST free, but that practice is completely voluntary. Number three, Twinkies. Okay, I can't say this is a big surprise. What can one expect from a cake that's bright yellow and hardly ever goes bad? And again, it's the food coloring that's the problem. The yellow 5 that these have been dyed with have been linked to allergic reactions such as hives, itching, coughing, and vomiting. Not to mention that whole cell development issue. So while these are required to carry an actual EU warning, like the ones they put on cigarettes, Finland, Norway, and Austria decided not to even take a chance they'd be eaten. Back in 2011, Twinkies were almost impossible to find, but for some reason, they're making a comeback, being sold in dollar stores and convenience chains, which makes me wonder, did they change the formula? Number four, apples. Everyone knows the saying, an apple a day, but the EU disagrees when it comes to the American variety. Since they're treated with a chemical called DPA to keep them from browning, European safety regulators banned the fruit in 2014. The reason? Another chemical being used on food that's been linked to cancer. Number five, drumstick ice cream. Now this one caught me by surprise. Originally, I figured the EU shunned this food because of the RBST milk. But no, this famous ice cream treat has a seaweed problem. Yes, it contains a seaweed-derived thickening agent used to extend its shelf life. So no, it's not the milk. And despite seaweed usually being healthy, this food additive has been shown to cause inflammation and, yes, again, cancer. Number six, instant potatoes. I'm sure that there are viewers thinking instant potatoes in a box, of course something's off. So while I've never been a fan, I do know why these are eaten. They're convenient. Unfortunately, however, that comes with a downside. Instant mashed potatoes like the brand Hungry Jack contain BHA, a preservative also found in rubber and wax food packaging. I guess that's why Japan, Australia, and you guessed it, the EU passed on this one. Number seven, Ritz crackers. Yes, sadly, this buttery, flaky cracker can't be found in Switzerland, Austria, Hungary, Iceland, Norway, or Denmark. Evidently, Ritz crackers contain high levels of sodium, along with hydrogenated cottonseed oil, a trans fat associated with cardiovascular disease. Now, the FDA hasn't ignored the science and does say that these oils are, quote, not generally recognized as safe. But then again, it allows for loopholes. So in the US, these are still on the shelves. Number 8, pork. I don't know if you've noticed, but American pigs tend to be larger than others, but there's a reason behind that. They're given an animal feed containing ractopamine, or RAC, which speeds up weight gain while also making their meat leaner. But Taiwan, the EU, Russia, China, and 160 other countries have banned meat containing the feed since it's linked to heart problems in humans. And if that wasn't bad enough, it's literally poisoned 1,700 people since 1998. Americans should note that although these countries have banned pork specifically, RAC is also fed to a large majority of our beef, swine, and turkey. Number 9, chicken. If you thought pork was the only meat banned in other countries, you'd be mistaken. The EU also won't take our chicken. And it's not because of RAC. No, this time it's a cleanliness issue. See, American poultry producers routinely wash their chicken in a chlorine-based solution. It's thought that this chlorine mixture reduces the possibility of salmonella contamination along with killing other bacteria. And the chlorine wash isn't exactly the EU's issue with the chicken. No, actually, the EU thinks that there's something up with, as they put it, cleaning the meat heavily at the end instead of maintaining safety throughout the entire food chain process. So basically, they see that chlorine bath as a bad bypass. Number 10, Mountain Dew. While the slogan might be do the do, the EU and Japan say don't. The lemon lime caffeine concoction contains brominated vegetable oil, or BVO. It's a substance found also in flame retardants. And the CDC was actually honest about BVO too and linked the substance to health problems including headaches, memory loss, and impaired balance/coordination. Why does it sound like alcohol instead of a soda? But there is good news. The maker, PepsiCo, announced in 2014 that BVO would be removed from all of its drinks. The bad news, they, for some reason, didn't take it out of Mountain Dew until 2020, 6 years later. I guess it added to the flavor? If you've made it this far in the video, please subscribe. American Escapee is all about what makes America the weirdly dysfunctional place it is, and solutions other countries have found that the US could actually learn from. Speaking of solutions, if you hadn't noticed, the EU was mentioned a lot in this video. And it seems like some innovative tech launched by two brothers and their close friend is keeping an eye on the products that might have slipped through the EU's cracks. In 2017, they launched a free app called Yuka, which lets users scan barcodes of products and rates them based on how healthy or unhealthy they are. If there's a healthier alternative out there, Yuka recommends it. It's been downloaded 10 million times, and I got a chance to use it while visiting my sister-in-law in France last year. It does seem to rate things honestly by telling you why something gets the rating it does. And yes, it does rate some products badly. Yuka isn't the only app like this in Europe either. No wonder they seem healthier. Seems like it's being made actually easier for them. Which makes me wonder, what would it take to get an honest app like that in the States?